The moment you stop chasing him is the moment everything changes. Not because of some trick, not because of some game you're playing, because of something rooted deep in human psychology, something most women have never been told, and most men don't even consciously understand about themselves. You've probably been there. You find someone you genuinely like, and at some point, almost without realizing it, you start doing more. Texting first, making yourself more available, rearranging your plans, trying just a little harder to keep things alive. And the more you try, the more distant he seems. Until one day you're sitting there wondering, what happened? What happened is something incredibly specific. And the answer has nothing to do with you not being enough. It has everything to do with how the human brain is wired when it comes to desire, pursuit, and connection. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's driving that dynamic, and more importantly, what to do instead that actually works. Welcome back to Lena, where we talk about the things most people think but never say out loud. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. We get into the real psychology behind relationships and dating, and I promise it's always worth your time. Let's get into it. Here's the thing. This isn't a problem unique to you. Millions of women in healthy, modern, connected relationships have fallen into the same pattern. And that's because it's not a character flaw. It's actually a very human response to uncertainty and anxiety in attachment. When we like someone, our nervous system kicks into a low-grade alert mode. We want reassurance. We want to know the connection is still there. And chasing, whether that's texting more, suggesting plans, or bending over backwards to keep his attention, feels like doing something. It feels productive. It feels like love. But here's what the science says. According to research in behavioral psychology, when we receive something too easily, without any effort or uncertainty on our part, our brain produces significantly less dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for desire, motivation, and that feeling of being pulled towards something. It's the chemistry of wanting. What that means in plain English: when you do all the reaching, all the initiating, all the emotional labor, you are, without realizing it, training his brain to feel less desire for you. Not because you're less valuable, but because the neurochemistry of attraction literally requires some space to build. So what do you do instead? Let's break this down, starting with number 1. You know that feeling when you check your phone and respond within 30 seconds every single time? When you cancel your plans because he suddenly has a free evening? When your whole schedule quietly reshapes itself around his? That's over-availability. And it doesn't signal love or devotion, at least not in the way you hope it does. What it actually signals, psychologically, is anxiety. Research on anxious attachment styles shows that people who make themselves constantly available are often doing it from a place of fear. Fear of being replaced, forgotten, or not chosen. Here's the shift. Become genuinely busy with your own life, not as a strategy, as a commitment. Prioritize your friendships, your goals, your routines. When he reaches out, respond at a natural pace. Not immediately, not hours later to seem mysterious, just at whatever time actually works for you. The point isn't to play games. The point is to genuinely have a life that doesn't orbit around him. And the side effect of that? You become the most interesting person in the room. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who is fully engaged with their own story. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because it's not just about what you do, it's about what you stop doing. And number 2 is where most women don't even realize they're handing away their power. Have you ever caught yourself writing a paragraph-long text to explain why you felt a certain way? Or apologizing in advance for having a need? or softening a perfectly reasonable boundary with so many qualifications that by the end, the boundary has completely disappeared? This is what psychologists call justification anxiety, the compulsive need to make yourself acceptable by explaining away your wants and feelings. And it comes from a deep, often unconscious belief that your needs are too much, that if he really knew what you needed, he'd leave. The problem is, over-explaining signals insecurity. And insecurity, not in a cruel way, but in a very primal, instinctive way, dims attraction. What creates attraction is quiet confidence, saying what you mean without apologizing for it, asking for what you need without a 12-sentence preamble. That kind of directness isn't cold, it's actually deeply attractive because it tells him you're a woman who knows herself. Say less, mean more. Trust that the right person doesn't need you to justify your feelings in order to honor them. Now we've talked about what you stop doing, but the real power, that comes from what you start doing. And number 3 is the one that most changes how men experience you. Think about the women in your life who seem effortlessly magnetic, not just physically, but energetically. They walk into a room and something about them draws people in. What's their secret? It's this. They're not waiting for external validation to feel good about themselves. They have a rich inner emotional life that isn't dependent on whether a man is pursuing them. Psychologist Abraham Maslow wrote about self-actualization, the state of being so connected to your own values, passions, and purpose that your sense of worth isn't contingent on anyone else's approval. The practical version of this looks like picking up the hobby you dropped when a relationship got serious, journaling, spending time with people who fill you up, moving your body, creating something. Essentially, investing in your inner world with the same energy you've been investing in trying to keep his attention. Here's what happens next. When you're genuinely happy and full without him, something shifts in how he experiences you. He starts to sense that you don't need him, you choose him. And that is one of the most compelling things a person can feel from someone they're drawn to. What I'm about to share next in point 4 is probably the most counterintuitive thing in this whole video. And once you understand it, you'll never look at silence the same way again. After a disagreement, after a confusing interaction, after a period of distance, what's your instinct? If you're like most women with an anxious attachment pattern, the instinct is to fill the silence, to reach out, to smooth things over, to make sure things are okay. But here's what the neuroscience of human bonding actually shows. Silence, strategic, intentional silence, creates a psychological vacuum. And vacuums pull things toward them. When you stop filling the space, his brain starts working. He starts thinking about the last time you were together. He starts noticing your absence. Studies on what's called the Zeigarnik Effect show that the human mind is significantly more preoccupied by things that feel unfinished or unresolved than by things that feel settled and complete. So when you disappear into your own life, when you don't rush to fill the silence, when you give things room to breathe, you become unfinished business in his mind. Not in a manipulative way, in a natural, psychologically real way. The silence isn't passive. It's one of the most powerful things you can do. Sit with the discomfort of not knowing. Let him wonder. Let that space do what space is designed to do. But there's an important distinction to make because silence only works when it comes from a specific place inside you. And that's exactly what number 5 is about. This one is critical. Because there's a version of stepping back that comes from a place of real self-respect. And there's a version that's just anger with better packaging. When you pull back from a place of genuine self-worth, your energy is calm. You're not waiting by the phone hoping he notices. You're not running a mental scoreboard. You're genuinely redirecting your energy toward yourself because you know your time and attention are valuable. That's self-respect, and it's unmistakably different from withdrawal that's designed to make him feel guilty. Here's why this matters psychologically. People are extraordinarily good at sensing the subtext of our behavior. If your pulling back is motivated by punishment, he'll feel that even if he can't name it. And rather than drawing him closer, it'll make him feel controlled. But when your stepping back is genuinely rooted in your own worth, that energy is magnetic. It says, I'm good either way. And that is the most powerful position you can stand in. Detach from the outcome. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough about yourself to know you'll be okay regardless. And the final point, number 6, is the one that ties everything together. This is the thing that most people miss entirely, and it's honestly the most important of all. Here's a question most women in this situation haven't fully answered. What do you actually want? Not what you hope he'll eventually offer, not what could be possible if he changes. What do you want right now, as things are? Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner's work on operant conditioning showed that we unconsciously teach people how to treat us based on what we accept and what we walk away from. Every time you've chased, you've been telling him without words that his inconsistency is acceptable, that you'll bridge the gap, that you'll keep investing even when the return isn't there. Deciding what you want means being honest with yourself about your non-negotiables. It means recognizing when a situation is genuinely good for you versus when you're trying to make something work that isn't working. And then, this is the crucial part, acting in alignment with what you've decided. Not in anger, not as an ultimatum, just with quiet, grounded clarity. When you do that, one of two things happens. Either he rises to meet you because clear, grounded women are exactly what emotionally available men are drawn to, or he doesn't. And then you have the information you need. Either way, you win. If anything in this video hit close to home, if you recognized yourself in that woman who's been texting first, who's been over-explaining, who's been quietly reshaping her life around someone who hasn't earned that level of devotion, I want you to know something. You are not too much. You are not desperate. You are not weak. You are someone who knows how to love fully and generously, and that is genuinely beautiful. The problem was never that you cared too much. It was that you were pouring that care in the wrong direction, outward, toward him, at the cost of inward, toward yourself. Everything we talked about today, the availability, the silence, the self-reconnection, the clarity, it all comes back to one thing, your relationship with yourself. Because here's the truth, the version of you who is deeply rooted in her own worth doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't over-explain, she communicates. She doesn't wait, she decides. That version of you isn't someone you have to become. She's already there. She just needs you to stop looking in his direction long enough to see her. The most compelling thing you can do in any relationship with any man is to become so genuinely secure in yourself that his absence doesn't destabilize you. Not because you don't feel things, but because you feel them and you're still okay. That security, it's not just attractive, it's transformative. For you first. And then, if he has the emotional intelligence to recognize it, for him too. So tell me in the comments, which of these 6 shifts did you recognize most in your own life? Was it the over-availability, the silence, or maybe that last one about deciding what you actually want? I read every single comment, and I genuinely love to know where you are in this. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to Lena. I post every week, and I'd love to have you here. This channel is for the women who want to understand themselves and the people they love at a deeper level. That's exactly who you are if you've made it this far. And if you want to go even deeper on what we talked about today, especially the attachment piece, watch this next. It connects directly to everything we just covered, and honestly, might be the most important video on this channel. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.